All right, let's talk about Ray Bradbury's classic Fahrenheit 451. Now, this is a book that came out way back in 1953, but when you read it, man, it feels like it could have been written just for us, right now. It's this haunting story, and honestly, its warnings feel more urgent today than they ever have. So check this out. This quote, it really gets to the absolute core of the whole book. It paints this picture of a world where knowledge wasn't, stolen by some evil government. Nope, it was just given away. People willingly traded it all for the easy, comfy pleasure of mindless entertainment. And I mean, that's the real gut punch question, isn't it? When you think about us scrolling through our feeds, binge-watching entire seasons of shows in a weekend, Bradbury's vision from like 70 years ago starts to look creepily familiar. So let's dive into the world he created and see just how close it is. Okay, so we're entering the world of Fahrenheit 451. And you've got to understand, everything here is completely backwards. To really get a handle on this society, you first have to wrap your head around the idea that its most basic rules are just flipped on their head. And it all starts with one of the most trusted jobs you can imagine. And this is the huge central irony of the entire story. The firemen? They're not the heroes rushing in to save your house. No way. They're actually government enforcers sent to destroy it. And what's their mission? To wipe out the most dangerous thing they can think of. Books. Even the title of the book, Fahrenheit 451, is just this cold, hard fact. 451 degrees Fahrenheit, that's it. That's the flashpoint. It's the exact temperature where paper and all the knowledge, all the history, all the debate written on it just bursts into flames and turns to ash. It's such a chillingly technical name for something so incredibly violent. But here's the thing that a lot of people get wrong about this book. This wasn't some world where a brutal government forced everyone into submission. Not at all. In Bradbury's story, the people chose this. They actually demanded to be protected from anything complicated. They picked a world of simple, easy, comfortable ignorance. So that sets up the big question, right? In a world that has literally chosen to forget everything, what happens when one guy starts to remember? And that, of course, brings us to our main character, the fireman, Guy Montag. Montag's whole journey is really the heart and soul of the story. I mean, he starts out as this proud book burner, a total model citizen. But then, just a few simple questions from his neighbor light this tiny spark of doubt in his mind. And that little spark, well, it grows into a full-blown rebellion that forces him to risk absolutely everything for the very knowledge his society threw away. And he doesn't go on this journey alone. Well, sort of. These are the key people around him. You've got Clarisse, who's basically all the curiosity and wonder that the world tried to crush. Then there's his wife, Mildred, who is the perfect example of that numb, tech-addicted person we've been talking about. And then there's Captain Beatty, his boss. This guy is one of the greatest paradoxes in all of literature. He knows exactly how valuable books are, better than anyone, and he uses that knowledge to explain why they all have to be destroyed. All right, so now let's really get into the big ideas that fuel this entire story. These are the powerful, timeless concepts that Bradbury was trying to protect, the stuff he wanted to make sure could never, ever be turned to ash. Okay, first up, and this is probably the most important theme, censorship by consent. And let's just hammer this home one more time. We're not talking about government agents kicking down doors here. This is about an entire population that begged to be protected from anything that made them feel the least bit uncomfortable. So why? Why would anyone want this? Well, think about it. Books are messy. They're full of contradictions, different opinions, even unhappy endings. They make you think, they make you feel things you might not want to feel. So the society basically said, you know what, forget the hard work of being enlightened. We'll just take the easy pleasure of being entertained. Next up is a theme that is just shockingly on point for today. Bradbury's ideas about technology and how isolating it can be. And you have to keep reminding yourself, he was writing this stuff back in the early 1950s. It's wild. Get this. The book talks about parlor walls, which are basically giant wall-sized TVs that you can interact with, and seashell radios, which are pretty much just earbuds, constantly pumping noise and distractions right into your head. He literally predicted a world where we'd get so lost in our devices that we'd completely forget how to connect with the actual human beings sitting right next to us. And all of this kind of leads us right into the final big theme, which is anti-intellectualism. And it's a pretty simple idea, really. It's what happens when a whole society starts to fear and even hate the very idea of deep thinking. In this world, if you're an expert on something or if you have a complex, nuanced opinion, you're seen as an elitist, a troublemaker. And why is that? Because thinking is hard. It can cause arguments. It's just so much easier to be happy, right? And when you're surrounded by constant digital distractions 24/7, staying in that state of blissful ignorance becomes the easiest thing in the world. So when you pull all these threads together, it becomes crystal clear. Bradbury wasn't just writing a cool sci-fi story. He was sounding an alarm. He was writing a warning. And honestly, that warning has never, ever felt more urgent than it does right now. I mean, just think about our world for a second. Our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter thanks to endless short-form content. We live in these echo chambers created by algorithms that only show us what we already believe. Misinformation spreads like wildfire. We have this impulse to cancel voices we don't agree with. Does any of that sound remotely unfamiliar? It's crazy. Bradbury saw the seeds of all of this 70 years ago. And when you get right down to it, that's the book's powerful call to action. It's basically a plea for us to value the things that are difficult, to actually engage with ideas that make us uncomfortable, and to fight to protect the places, real or digital, where debate and deep thinking can still happen. Because for Bradbury, that stuff, that's not extra. That's the very essence of what makes us human. And so we're left with the exact same question the book forces on its reader. It really makes you look in the mirror and ask yourself, are the walls closing in because some powerful force is building them around us? Or are we building them ourselves? You know, one screen, one scroll, one click at a time. It's definitely a question worth thinking about.